So today we'll talk about the benefits of bhakti from the small book by Swami Prabhupada called The Art of Eternal Love. There are like so many arts: art of resilience, art of living, art of dying. This one is how to develop eternal love. So love is there within our body, within us actually, which is the soul. Love is not a function of the body. And what is eternal love? Even though the soul goes from body to body, eventually we come to the point of understanding Krishna. Okay, so Manan, can you please read the purport or the text?
Sure. Benefits of bhakti. This eternal engagement in bhakti rasa can be understood by a serious student on studying the nectar of devotion. Adoption of bhakti rasa or Krishna consciousness will immediately bring one to an auspicious life free from anxieties and will bless one with transcendental existence, thus minimizing the value of liberation. Bhakti rasa itself is sufficient to produce a feeling of liberation because it attracts the attention of the Supreme Lord Krishna. Generally, neophyte devotees are anxious to see Krishna or God, but God cannot be seen or known by our present materially blunt senses. The process of devotional service, as it is recommended in the Nectar of Devotion, will gradually elevate one from the material condition of life to the spiritual status, wherein the devotee becomes purified of all designations. The senses can then become uncontaminated, being constantly in touch with Bhakti Rasa. When the purified senses are employed in the service of the Lord, one becomes situated in Bhakti Rasa life, and any action performed to the satisfaction of Krishna in this transcendental Bhakti Rasa stage of life can be relished perpetually. When one is thus engaged in devotional service, all varieties of rasas or mellows turn into eternity. In the beginning, one is trained according to the principles of regulation under the guidance of the Acharya or spiritual master, and gradually, when one is elevated, devotional service becomes automatic and spontaneous eagerness to serve Krishna. There are 12 kinds of rasas which are explained in the Nectar of Devotion, and by renovating a relationship with Krishna in 5 primary rasas, we can live eternally in full knowledge and bliss. You want me to continue?
Yes, please continue.
The basic principle of the living condition is that we have a general propensity to love someone. No one can live without loving someone else. Nice. This propensity is present in every living being. Even an animal like a tiger has this loving propensity, at least in a dormant stage, and it is certainly present in the human beings. The missing point, however, is where to repose our love so that everyone can become happy. At the present moment, the human society teaches one to love his country or family or his personal self, but there is no information where to repose the loving propensity so that everyone can become happy. That missing point is Krishna. And the Nectar of Devotion teaches us how to stimulate our original love for Krishna and how to be situated in that position where we can enjoy a blissful life. In the primary stage, a child loves his parents, then his brothers and sisters. And as he daily grows up, he begins to love his family, society, community, country, nation, or even the whole human society. But the loving propensity is not satisfied even by loving all human society. That loving propensity remains imperfectly fulfilled until we know who is the Supreme Beloved. Our love can be fully satisfied only when it is reposed in Krishna. This theme is the sum and substance of the Nectar of Devotion, which teaches us how to love Krishna in 5 different transcendental mellows.
Yeah, thank you, Manan. So this page has the entire philosophy on a page, right? So I'll tell you why. So even before you think of God, the basic propensity that a human being has, or even an animal has, is the propensity to love somebody, to serve somebody. Everybody in this world has this propensity to love and serve. Like the president is serving the people, or at least theoretically is supposed to serve the people. The army man is serving his country, willing to give up his own life. Like recently when United States was pulling out of Afghanistan, a lot of the military people were saying, We sacrifice so much. Somebody lost their hands, somebody lost their legs, somebody lost their lives, and now you're arbitrarily pulling out of Afghanistan, right? So they loved their country so much that they were willing to give their life. So a nurse serves in the coronavirus ward of any hospital, knowing that she could catch and can also die. But she's doing it regardless. It's not for the money. They don't even make money like IT engineers, right? It is beyond money. There is that some sense of service and love for the fellow human being. That's why they do it. Otherwise, why would they do it? So each one of us has this tendency to love, right? That's what Prabhupada says here. This propensity is present in every living being. Even an animal like tiger has loving propensity, at least in the dormant stage. So the loving propensity of a tiger is to take care of its cubs. Of course, it will rip apart a deer or doe or whatever the animal that comes in its way, but it still has this loving propensity for its own kids. And Srila Prabhupada makes this $1,000,000 point. The missing point, however, is where to repose our love so that everyone becomes happy. Where to repose this love so that everyone becomes happy. So let's do some discussion. You can discuss amongst yourselves where to repose this love. Don't be shy.
Okay, I'll take a shot. I remember when I was very young, I used to have this doubt or this question. One of the textbooks we read that the only way one can become happy is by making others happy. If you try to become happy for yourself, that you can't really be actually happy like this. The happy is in trying to make others happy. And that made a lot of sense. And from experience also, then when we try to serve others and make others happy, then you become happy. But I used to think, so if the best way to become happy is to make others happy, then I have to think what is the best way to make the other person happy. And that leads to a circular dilemma. Because if the best way for me to become happy is to make somebody else happy, then the other person I'm trying to make happy, what is the best way for him to be happy? It will also be to make somebody else happy. So if everybody is trying to make somebody else happy, then who are we actually serving? What we actually do? So I was kind of confused by that. How do you actually resolve this? Till I came to Prabhupada's books and understood that there is an enjoyer. And Krishna is the enjoyer. If we serve Krishna, then as a secondary enjoyer, everybody becomes happy. If we try to serve each other, then ultimately there is some satisfaction in it also, but it doesn't, it's still, the dilemma still remains. And later on we understand also this now, it cannot be fully satisfying because it's always, even if there is some satisfaction, it's going to be temporary because those relationships cannot last beyond this life unless they are centered around Krishna.
Yeah, excellent point. Very good. Very good. Any other thoughts? Maybe Srujana or Raj?
Prabhuji,
Yes.
like I always saw happiness when I do service, and but this never occurred. Like, how do we, um, that eternal happiness was not something thought about, or unless I walk through this path. So, so not much to share, Prabhu.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, you shared something already. Raj, any thoughts there?
Not really, Bhagar. I think the last but one line basically sums it up. I think probably the best way to achieve happiness is to dedicate yourself and your love to Krishna.
Yeah. Our love can be fully satisfied when it is reposed in Krishna. So this ties with what Manan said, right? So to be happy, you have to make somebody else happy. And that person to be happy has to make somebody else happy. And who is that somebody? As you go through this chain, ultimately it has to come to the creator, the enjoyer, the supreme. Therefore, if we make Krishna happy, then everybody becomes happy. And second point is, just like if you have a tree or a plant, you don't go spraying water to each one of the leaf. Like if you look at an apple tree, you could have 10,000 leaves on an apple tree. So you cannot spray water on each one of those 10,000 leaves. So what do? You water the root. And now, just 2 days ago, I learned of a new technique. What they're doing is they are building pipes, underground pipes, with a small hole near root of each tree. So this is just like an extension of drip irrigation for vegetables. Now they are doing a quasi drip irrigation for trees. So instead of wasting water everywhere, you're directly feeding the root. Right? So when the root takes water, all 10,000 leaves are supplied with that water, and all leaves look green. Maybe one or two will be diseased and they will fall off, but majority, 9,998 leaves will be green. So what's happening? When you water the root, the entire tree is getting benefited. Similarly, when you repose your love for the original person, Adi Purusham, as we say, Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. So Adi Purusham means the first person of the universe is Krishna. Then he goes about creating all of us and so on and so forth. So the Adi Purusha, and it's not said Adi Stri, because first Krishna comes, then comes Radharani, then comes this whole chain of command, then comes our material engineer Brahma, spiritual engineer is Krishna, and then he develops the template, and Brahmas in each of the universe will follow the template. So all universes, some are big, some are small, but they more or less follow the same template. Right? Just like in C++, you write a class and then you instantiate it thousands of times or hundreds of times. So same thing is happening. That original class is developed by Krishna, and then all these Brahmas are just doing polymorphism, inheritance and polymorphism. So you inherit from that original design and then you morph it many times. So that is polymorphism. So if you are into C++, you'll know what these terms mean, inheritance and polymorphism. So that's what's happening here. The original root is Krishna. So if you ignore the root and you try to water some leaves, the other leaves will wither and die. So that's what's happening in the world right now. Everybody is trying to do piecemeal happiness. Oh, if I build a walled, gated community and build these $3 million, $4 million homes in that gated community, I will be happy. But has that resulted in happiness? Especially if you go to Beverly Hills in California, you have gated communities with 25, $30 million homes. All the movie stars and big businessmen live there. Do you think they're happy? What is one metric to say that they are not happy? Just check out the suicide rates. The suicide rates in these gated upscale communities is higher than normal housing communities. So what does that tell you? That they are not happy. Very simple, right? If they were happy, they should be multiplying babies like anything. Each family should have 10, 10, 20, 20 babies. But they are not doing that. And you will see the slums of Dharavi in Bombay, you are having more babies getting produced. So happiness has nothing to do with wealth. That is one proven fact. So happiness comes from serving that root. And when you forget that root, you will see what's happening in the modern world. Nobody's happy. I mean, there are moments of happiness. When you have your first child, you are very happy, for example. When you get your first promotion at job, you are very happy. After the third promotion, it becomes pretty routine. You say, whatever, just move on. So when we fail to serve the root, which is Krishna, we will not be happy. Right? That is what Srila Prabhupada says 2 lines above. The loving propensity is not satisfied even by loving all human society. That you see some of these big politicians. They say, yes, I'm doing it for my country, Germany, for my country, Britain. For Germany, Hitler did it and finally committed suicide. For Churchill, he did it for England. He was very frustrated towards the end of his life because nothing was going according to plan. So you cannot be happy unless we focus on that central theme, Krishna. And then Srila Prabhupada continues, you can love Krishna in 5 different mellows. Anybody know what those 5 are? First is neutrality, Shantaras. Second is servitude, being a servant, Dasyaras. Dasyaras is like Hanuman serving Ram, for example. He always wants to be a servant of Ram. Then comes Sakyaras, means you are friendly with the Lord. Of course, you have to go through these stages, right? You start off with Santa, then you become a Dasa, like my name is Radhika Gopinath Das. Means I'm a servant of Radha and Krishna. So that is my initiated name. My outside name is something else. So we try to first become servant of the Lord. Then you become friendly, Sakyaras, after many lifetimes. Then you come to Vatsalyaras. So Vrishni and Sutapa, they meditated for 10,000 years to have Krishna as their son. Not somebody like Krishna. They said, no, we don't want anybody like you. We want you. So they meditated for 10,000 years and they were born as Devaki and Vasudeva so that they can, quote unquote, give birth to Krishna. Nobody gives birth to God, right? So how it happens is also described in the Krishna book. So Devaki, Vasudeva thinks of Krishna and his thoughts are transmitted to Devaki's thoughts and then Krishna is conceived. So it's not like you have to have sex to conceive Krishna, right? They didn't have sex to conceive Krishna. It is through the thought that Krishna was conceived. You have to read the book, Krishna book. So first Vishnu comes there, all the devatas come at the conception, all the devatas are making a lot of nice music. They're saying, yes, Krishna is now going to take birth on this material world, right? So it's like a grand event for them. All this happened in the jail. So that is Vatsalyaras, to think of Krishna as somebody that you own, right? Oh, Krishna is my son. Somebody will say, oh, Krishna is the God, Supreme Personality of Godhead. No. Krishna is my son. So that is the bhav that they have, right? If you go to Vrindavan, they say Lala, right? They say Krishna. And if you say Krishna is this, that, according to Srimad Bhagavatam, they say, no. Krishna is our favorite child. We play with Krishna. If you think he's God, that's fine. But for us, he is our lovely playmate. So you go from Shanta to Dhasya, servitude, to Sakya, friendship, like Gopa boys in Vrindavan. What they do, they climb on shoulder of Krishna to play. And they play hide and seek and running race. All this is described in Krishna book. So they don't think of Krishna as God. They think of Krishna as their Sakha. Sakha means friend. So Sakyaras. So you have Sakha and Sakhi. Sakha are Gopa boys and Sakhi are Gopis, Gopikas. And then finally you come to Madhurya Ras, which even the Sakhas, Gopas cannot enjoy. Even Dwarka Vasis cannot enjoy. Even their parents, Devaki and Vasudeva, are Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj. In Vrindavan, Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj were their foster parents. But then, Krishna never, thought they were foster parents. He grew with them like his own parents in the material sense. So finally comes Madhurya Ras, where gopis are always with Krishna. So when Krishna is not there, they hug a tree and say, Krishna, is this you? Anything that they see, any object that they say, is this you, Krishna? Is this you, Krishna? Constantly searching for Krishna. That is called Vipralamba Bhava, means separation, love in separation. That is considered the highest love. You also, those of you who are married, you also know this. When your spouse travels for some time, then your love increases for them. So love is not when somebody is right next to you all the time. Love is when there is separation, the love actually increases. The hankering increases. So that is the Vipralamba Bhava. And then they do Vipralamba Seva, means in separation they serve the Lord. So as you know, when Krishna grew up, after the age of 16, he goes off and he is made the king. And then he becomes the king of Dwaraka. Later on, he marries all these queens. He has 16,108 queens. And the gopis are cursing themselves. Krishna, what did we do? Why did you leave us? We thought you always are going to be with us. But no, you went to Dwarka. And Krishna never returns, believe it or not. So Krishna is always in Dwarka as a king. And these gopis are hankering for Krishna for rest of their life in the Vipralamba Bhava and performing Vipralamba Seva. So these are the 5 different rasas. In English, the translation is mellow. Of course, rasa cannot be translated because you have to feel it to describe it. So this nectar of devotion talks about how to love God in 5 different mellows. This is not like the biblical God. If you don't follow God's instructions, God will cast you in hell forever. That's what the Bible says. He will cast you in hell forever. Then then what kind of God is he if he doesn't love you back? Right? He's casting you in hell forever. That's not God. Right? God means he has to give you chance again and again to rectify your mistakes so that you can come back to him. And in Islam, yesterday we went on Nagar Sankirtan, and one of my colleague was preaching to this Muslim guy. This is one of my student. Oh, so he cannot attend because he's taking care of his sister. Yeah, so this is the picture I'll show you of this preacher from our temple who is talking to this Muslim guy. Sultan Gyro's combo meal, all the nonsense, leftover meat particles all grind up and they are made into shawarma or something like that. So this is this Muslim guy. He set up his own preaching center outside his store and then asked me about Islam. They wear these t-shirts and they preach to others. So our devotee went there and then he was talking to him. So he said, God cannot be a person. Islam says that God is just energy. God is not a person. So their understanding is very limited. God is a person. Person has energies. Just like you have a shirt and a pant and you have a watch and you have a car. In the same way, God has energies. These people, Islamists, think that God doesn't have a form. God is just merely energy. So they debated for a while. This debate has been going on for thousands of years, at least 1300 years since Islam came in. 500 years ago, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who gave us the Hare Krishna mantra, also debated with Chand Kazi in Mayapur in Bengal. And then he convinced Chand Kazi, and Chand Kazi basically took up the chanting of Hare Krishna. But we are not so powerful. We cannot convince people so easily because most people don't want to listen. That is the main problem. Right? So in Christianity, God is very dangerous and he'll cast you in hell. And in Islam, God is just merely an energy. So the Vedic knowledge says that God is a person, Bhagavan. He is an energy, Brahman, and he is localized in your heart. All the yogis follow that. That is called Paramatma. So yogis want to find God inside themselves in form of Paramatma. And Brahmavadis, just like the Islamists and many Christians, they want to reach to God as his energy. But bhaktas, who are very rare in this world, they want to play with Krishna as a sakha, or as his child in a Vatsalya Bhava, or as a lover in the Madhurya Bhava, just like gopis are hankering for Krishna. You see the difference? So other religions are only subsets of the Vedic religion. So they are like 10% of the Vedic religion, and they start fighting. But in reality, they should understand that their information is partial. Their information is not incorrect, it is just partial. So now the partial religions are having a roost in the world. And even then, not really. Because if you talk to average Christians, they don't follow what their own guru told them, right? So rampant meat eating, drinking alcohol, illicit sex outside of marriage, intoxication, that is drinking, and gambling. Like gambling, these are the four things that are considered to be breakers of dharma. Satyam, Saucham, Kshama, Daya, Kalena, Balina, Rajam. So each one of these activities, like eating meat, drinking alcohol, gambling, and intoxication, will kill one pillar of dharma. So dharma has four pillars, all four are broken down now, right now. There's little bit of truth. Like if you say a lie, the judge will punish you. But if you drink alcohol or eat meat or do hanky-panky with your neighbor's wife, the judge won't say anything, because he himself will be doing those three things. So in American Constitution today, only if you say a lie, it is a crime. If you break these other three principles, it's not a crime. Have you seen that? Has anybody noticed that? Under penalty of perjury. Have you seen that statement? Nobody's seen that? A statement that has been signed by a declarant who will be found guilty of perjury if the facts declared are shown to be materially false. So if you say a lie, the government will punish you. So this is the fourth pillar in Kali Yuga. Satyam has some value. Satyam, Shaucham, Kshamadaya. So Saucham, cleanliness, Kshama, and Daya are gone to dogs in Kali Yuga. Only Satyam is still valid, but as time passes, as it is, Bill Clinton said lies and he agreed that he told lies. Trump was caught telling lies. Only a matter of time, Biden will be caught telling lies, right? So even our presidents are breaking the fourth principle with impunity. So even by the end of Kali Yuga, all four pillars would have collapsed, and then everybody will become totally rascals, and Lord will come in form of Kalki and destroy everybody, and then start the Satyuga again, golden age. This has been going on. This cycle has been going on for millions of times. Satyuga, followed by Treta Yuga, followed by Dwapara Yuga, followed by Kali Yuga, which is then followed again by Satyuga. So it's a cycle, right? So if we do a search here, let's say 4 Yuga cycles, what do we get? I like graphs. So you see this, so there are, yeah, there it is, a nice graph. So Kali Yuga is so much time, Treta Yuga is so much time, Dwapara Yuga is so much time. No, sorry, Krita Yuga or Satya Yuga. And then Kali Yuga is the shortest. At the end of Kali Yuga, again, Krita Yuga or Satya Yuga will come. So this cycle is going on. You cannot stop that cycle. Okay, so I have many windows open, so I'm trying to go back to my original window. Kahan hai? Or did I close that original window? Let me reopen it. So this is vedabase.io, and it has all these books. Of course, the famous Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita. This trio is very important. And then we have the Krishna book, the life and Leelas of Krishna. And then if you scroll here, there's a book called Bhakti, Art of Eternal Love. And then I am in Benefits of Bhakti. Yeah. So when we are born, first thing we love is our parents. Then slowly when we grow, we'll have brothers and sisters. If we have brothers and sisters, we start loving them. Then we love the entire family, like uncles, aunts, grandpas. Then we love our immediate society, right? Like in India, there is this concept of colony. I grew up in a colony called Ishaq colony, right? Then there'll be various kinds of, BHEL colony in Hyderabad, for example. So there are various colonies like our defense colony in Delhi. Then slowly you will start loving everybody. Oh, this is my community. This is my, whatever. Gurgaon. Gurgaon is my community. So I love everybody in Gurgaon. Then Bharat Mata Ki Jai. You love your entire country, nation. Or then very few people will do this, but they will love the whole human society. Prabhupada says, this is not satisfied even by loving all human society. Right? Politicians have tried that. They tried to love everybody, but they were not satisfied. Mahatma Gandhi was not satisfied. He was a little bit spiritual, but not as much as is needed according to scriptures. I mean, all India loved him. He loved all of India, but still he was unsatisfied. So we should know who our supreme beloved is. That is Krishna. Who is worthy of my love? That is Krishna. Yeah, I mean, doesn't mean that you're going to abandon your families tomorrow. No. While you are taking care of your families, your focus should be towards our eternal lover, Krishna. Right now, that love has degraded to lust. So love in the spiritual world is for Krishna. Now that has degraded into lust for a partner here in the material world, whether it is boy to girl, girl to boy, or increasingly boy to boy and girl to girl. Right? So all this is because we forgot our original love for Krishna and we are trying to look for love in the wrong place. There are many English songs like looking for love in the wrong place, like that. There are many, many songs. And then you have the Beatles song, All You Need Is Love. Has anybody heard that song? Let me pause the.
Okay. Our loving propensity expands just as a vibration of light or air expands, but we do not know where it ends. The nectar of devotion teaches us the science of loving every one of the living entities perfectly by the easy method of loving Krishna. We have failed to create peace and harmony in human society, even by such great attempts as the United Nations, because we do not know the right method. The method is very simple, but one has to understand it with a cool head. The nectar of devotion teaches all men how to perform the simple and natural method of loving Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If you learn how to love Krishna, then it is very easy to immediately and simultaneously love every living being. It is like pouring water on the root of a tree or supplying food to one's stomach. The method of pouring water on the root of a tree or supplying food to the stomach is universally scientific and practical, as every one of us has experienced. Everyone knows well that when we eat something, or in other words, when we put food into the stomach, the energy created by such action is immediately distributed throughout the whole body. Similarly, when we pour water on the root, the energy thus created is immediately distributed throughout the entirety of even the largest tree. It is not possible to water the tree part by part, nor is it possible to feed the different parts of the body separately. The nectar of devotion will teach us how to turn the one switch that will immediately brighten everything everywhere. One who does not know this method is missing the point of life. As far as material necessities are concerned, the human civilization at the present moment is very much advanced in living comfortably, but still we are not happy because we are missing the point. The material comforts of life alone are not sufficient to make us happy. The root cause of our dissatisfaction is that our dormant loving propensity has not been fulfilled despite our great advancement in the materialistic way of life. The nectar of devotion will give us practical hints how we can live in this material world perfectly engaged in the devotional service, and thus fulfill all our desires in this life and the next. The nectar of devotion is not presented to condemn any way of materialistic life, but the attempt is to give information to religionists, philosophers, and people in general how to love Krishna. One may live without material discomfiture, but at the same time, one should learn the art of loving Krishna. At the present moment, we are inventing so many ways to utilize our propensity to love, but factually, we are missing the real point. Krishna, we are watering all parts of the tree, but missing the tree's root. We are trying to keep our body fit by all means, but we are neglecting to supply food to the stomach. Missing Krishna means missing oneself also. Real self-realization and realization of Krishna go together simultaneously. For example, seeing oneself in the morning means seeing the sunrise also. Without seeing the sunshine, no one can see himself. Similarly, unless one has realized Krishna, there is no question of self-realization.
Yeah, so many points here, right? So Srila Prabhupada says, this is not to condemn any materialistic way of life, because that way of life will continue. But the attempt is to give information to religionists, philosophers, and people how to love Krishna. Right? As I was talking, like yesterday, one of our devotees went and talked to this Muslim guy. So the fellow is not even willing to listen, right? He's saying your religion versus my religion. So it's not about religion versus religion. It is like where should your love be reposed? Who to love? People don't even know that. So one may live without material discomfort. It's okay. You have to be comfortable. At the same time, one should learn the art of loving Krishna. So it's an art. How to love is also an art. Love is not a noun, it is a verb, right? If you say, I love my wife, which means that what are you doing for your wife or husband, vice versa. So it's a verb, it is not a noun. So we are inventing so many ways, just like, during Corona, Netflix grew substantially, more movies, but are people happy? No. They look the same miserable. Like you see, people are driving these expensive cars. The face is either like a bunch of steel, or they look very gloomy and miserable. They are in a $60,000, $80,000, $90,000 car, but they don't feel happy. Why? First of all, they have to pay the mortgage, or whatever it's called, monthly payment for that car. That is in itself sufficient to pull their happiness down. All right. And secondly, they're probably working like a donkey, trying to make the money to lead a life. So they're not happy, because the real point is Krishna. So we are watering the parts of the tree, as I mentioned earlier. We are spraying water on each one of the 10,000 leaves of an apple tree, but we are missing the most important thing, the root. If you pour water to the root, all the 10,000 leaves will be healthy. So missing Krishna means missing oneself also, because we are connected. We are connected with God. Whether you can see it or not, we are all connected. But we are ignoring Krishna. Therefore, you are ignoring yourself also, your real self, right? Wearing a more expensive shirt or a jacket is not taking care of yourself. Taking care of yourself means you have to take care of who you are. You are a small little expansion from the original personality, Krishna. That's why we are a person, God is also a person. So therefore, self-realization and realization of Krishna go together simultaneously. Self-realization, realization of Krishna go together simultaneously. For example, when you see yourself in the morning in the mirror, it means you're also seeing sunrise, because without the light, there would not have been an option of seeing yourself in the mirror. Without seeing the sunshine, no one can see himself. right? Similarly, one has realized Krishna, there is no question of self-realization. So if you realize Krishna means, okay, you are already also trying to realize who you are at that point. So usually self-realization comes first and then God realization or Krishna realization. So if you're already Krishna realized means you're already self-realized, the corollary of that theory. Okay, thoughts and questions. We are inventing so many ways, right? We are inventing Teslas, iPhone 13, Windows 21, but we are missing the real point, Krishna. So we can never be happy unless we connect with Krishna. So Aryan, I know you joined a little late. Thank you for joining. So we are covering a different book called actually it's called Bhakti, Art of Eternal Love, which is a summary study of Nectar of Devotion. Nectar of Devotion is a much larger treatise.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Can you hear me, Prabhu?
Yeah, I can. So at the present moment, very much advanced in living comfortably. You have dynamically adjusting coils in your mattress. Based on your slightest movement, there are sensors in your mattress to prop your body up in that angle, right? And you have dynamic shock absorbers in your car so that you barely feel the road. So much advancement is there. But we are missing the point. Material comforts of life are not sufficient to make us happy. Alone are not sufficient. You need some comfort, but the real happiness comes from associating with our eternal father, Krishna. You have a material father, but our eternal father is Krishna. And what is the root cause of our dissatisfaction is our dormant loving propensity. Dormant means which is something lying inside. This you learn this in thermodynamics, dormant energy. So dormant means something which is sleeping. So your loving propensity, everybody has a propensity to love. But right now we are covering it up with modern material activities. And this this loving propensity has not been fulfilled. Even though we have great advancement in the materialistic way of life. So we are sick and tired of this materialistic way of life, but we don't know what the answer is to get out. And that is to rekindle the dormant loving propensity. Each one of us is capable of so much love, but we made it into a routine. You wake up, you brush your teeth, go to office, work, come, cook something, eat, and go to sleep. So this is far more powerful than the Bhagavad Gita, actually, because this challenges you to look inside and say, what happened to me? Where is my loving propensity? Where did I lose it in this daily struggle for existence? We are all struggling every day for existence. No matter what you do, it is all a struggle for existence. You may couch it in nice words like, yes, I am very intellectual and I'm trying to find a solution to cancer, but that's also a struggle for existence. Okay, I have to drop off now. I will stop the recording. So Aryan, can you lead the chanting with everybody?
Sorry, Prabhu, could you repeat that?
Can you lead the chanting with everybody?
Oh, yeah, sure.